Comic News Insider.
Oh, okay.
Gary.
Okay.
C42F.
Great.
Showbiz Junkies.
Oh, fun.
Down and Nerdy Podcast.
Ooh.
TVHoller.com.
Okay.
Sci-Fi Talk Podcast.
Okay, great. Good to know.
We're your geek club. We're here.
Oh, these are the geeks. All right.
Geeks here.
We are.
We love to geek out.
Where did the decision come from to shoot it the way you shot it, instead of live action, instead of traditional animation with the rotoscope? How did that come about?
Yeah, I actually don't remember when that decision happened. I mean, I remember there was a series of conversations with Kate and then with Hisko Helsing, our director, and I was really excited about the idea because I've never seen a show fully rotoscoped like this. I mean, it's a huge undertaking. But I loved the look of it, and I loved the promise of it, and I think we all really got excited about the possibilities of it and the ways in which you get sucked into that world with rotoscope animation. It's very different than the way you watch other animated shows or even live action shows. And it felt like it complemented our scripts really well, and it gave us possibilities for performance that we could really take advantage of, so it was really exciting.
One of the things you could do, and Rosa was talking about this, is that if a person is thinking something, instead of them talking about it, you can show it and not be constricted because it is animation.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think one of the benefits of this particular kind of animation is that I think in some ways our show is very grounded and emotional, even though it's about a woman becoming unstuck in time and floating through the cosmos. And I like the way that the style of animation really grounds us in the real world and makes it feel like, oh, these are people, these are sisters, this is a relationship between a woman and her boyfriend, or a woman and her mother. This isn't like a crazy, fantastical comic book show. This is, this is the real world. And then, but because it's animated and not live action, when the more magical stuff starts to happen, it doesn't all of a sudden feel like, oh, here comes the special effects. It feels like an outgrowth of what the show already is. So it straddles that very real and very fantastical line in a really cool way, I think. You got a question?
I was just kind of wondering what was the genesis of the character itself?
Yeah, the character came from conversations with Kate. I think we're both really attracted to prickly characters, wounded characters, funny characters. And then Rosa came in and just brought it to life, and I feel like she showed us who the character was more than we even knew. But we wanted someone who felt damaged and felt like a half step off of life, and felt like was surrounded by people that it was easy for them, and didn't understand how that was. That's a character trait that's always very attractive to me. A lot of the characters on BoJack are like that too. Someone who, a bit of a square peg in a round hole, and then she finds her hole.
And rotoscoping, Disney, I think, made Snow White using rotoscoping.
Yes, it's an old technique.
But obviously now there's a software for it, so does that cut down on your production time as opposed to the old way? Or?
I don't know. I couldn't answer a lot of the production questions for how it was done, because it really is, it's still animators, going frame by frame and adjusting it. It's not like you just throw a filter on it, and it looks perfect. Like, it really is. It's still an artist's job. But what's fun about doing the show is that the technology for it actually kept changing while we were making it, because there've been so few fully rotoscoped projects that every time there's a new one, it's an opportunity to innovate. And so we made 8 episodes now. This is like the longest fully rotoscope project in ever, right? And so we were doing stuff for episode 1. I remember there are certain rules about like what kinds of patterns we could use or what would be easy. And we came back for episode 3 and it was like, no, everything's different now. No to these patterns, yes to these patterns. We found like a new way of doing it, so we can't do that anymore. So that was really exciting to feel like, oh, we're at the forefront of this.
Wow. So a lot of this is about Alma and her dad, but how much does what's going on with her actually affect some of the other interpersonal relationships?
Oh, very much. It's in the first 2 episodes. The first episode is very much about her relationship and the people in her lives in the present, and the second episode is very much about her relationship with her father in the past. And then the rest of the season is really about both, and it's about what is this journey she's going on with her father, how is it affecting things in the quote-unquote real world? Is it making her a better, more fulfilled person, or is it taking her away from that reality? And that's a question we want people to be asking all season. That's a question she herself is asking all season. But it is very much about, I think it's a show about relationships. It's a show about her relationship with her father, but just as much her relationship with her sister and her boyfriend and her mother.
Rose talked a bit about some of the challenges of physically shooting.
Oh, yeah.
Like that piece of tape is a couch. You can't walk through there. What are some of the challenges you found shooting live?
I don't think the shooting challenge, I think Rosa really bore the brunt of that, because she is the star of the show. She's in almost every scene for the entire season. There's a couple times when we're out of her POV, but almost all season she's there. And because there was we don't have to set up lights or do hair and makeup in the same way for rotoscopy. We just moved very quickly through scenes, and also it was very strictly storyboarded because we knew exactly what angles we were going to get because we were already painting the backgrounds. There wasn't a lot of like, oh, let's figure out the shot, and so there's just very fast turnaround. And I think, you know, for a lot of our actors who are used to like, okay, you do the scene and you get prepped for it, and you go sit in your dressing room for like an hour, and then you come out and you do it. It's like, no, we were doing 5, 6, 7 scenes a day and just like running her ragged, and she's an incredible performer. I don't think we could have done it with anybody else, and she really was able to funnel that kind of exasperation into the performance itself and that kind of lost feeling. And so I think that was the biggest challenge as far as production, was just like trying not to wear our actors out. Rosa chief among them.
It was a short shoot, I take it?
What?
It was a short shoot,
Well,
I take
it was actually stretched out. We did it, so we did one episode at a time. Then we'd go like a month between episodes because it took so long to prep, because we had to storyboard and then we had to rotoscope. So it's such a long process that it took a very long time to shoot, but it was all these like bursts. It was like, okay, we got the crew, we got the cast, let's do this real fast. And so all of our cast was also like doing other stuff. You know, Bob was shooting Better Call Saul, and we were like, okay, we got Bob for like 3 days. Let's get all the Bob and Rosa scenes in on this day. It was like a scheduling nightmare, but I'm really amazed that we were able to get it. And I think it speaks to how much all the actors believed in the material and they wanted to be there, and they were able to make themselves available on that crazy schedule to do like, okay, 3 days here, and then go do something else for 2 months, and then we're going to have you back. Yeah.
With Amazon, how much freedom did they give you? Did they any put restrictions on you at all?
No, no restrictions. I mean, they have notes like any network, but it's always a conversation, and you know, it definitely feels like we're all on the same page, and we're trying to make the show that we want to make. You know, I've worked on shows at other networks sometimes where it feels like, oh, they bought this show that you pitched, but they really want is this show, and every note they give you is me trying to drag this show over to here, and you're like, but I just want to make this show. And I think from the very beginning, I think Amazon really got on board with the show that we wanted to do, and they want to help us make that show and, you know, get it to the widest possible audience. And so they said, like, what is going on here? This thing doesn't quite make sense. Okay, we have to explain it for Amazon, because we've been talking about this for months and we understand. But yeah, how can we clarify this or make this beat more emotional, or bring this out, or maybe not have our protagonist say the F word quite so many times in the pilot episode. But it's been a wonderful experience working with them.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, appreciate it.